Is Bruno Fernandes really leaving Manchester United? The Bayern Munich drama that could change everything. Picture this, you're Manchester United's most important player, you've just had your best season ever, and suddenly two of the world's biggest clubs want to take you away. That's exactly what's happening to Bruno Fernandes right now, and it's got football fans everywhere asking one big question: could United really lose their captain? The transfer window is heating up, and there's some serious drama brewing. Bayern Munich just lost out on their dream signing, and now they're looking at Bruno as their backup plan. But here's the twist, this backup plan might actually be harder to pull off than their original target. Let's break down what's really going on and why this story matters so much for both clubs. The domino effect that started it all. Sometimes in football, one player's decision can change everything for multiple clubs. That's exactly what happened when Florian Wirtz made his choice. Bayern Munich had been chasing the 22-year-old German wonderkid for months. They saw him as the perfect player to add creativity and goals to their midfield. Wirtz has been absolutely brilliant for Bayer Leverkusen, showing the kind of skill and vision that makes top clubs drool. But then came the bombshell. On Friday, the news broke that Wirtz had decided to join Liverpool instead. Just like that, Bayern's months of planning went out the window. Liverpool are reportedly paying a massive 150 million euros, that's about 126 million pounds, to get Wirtz. It's the kind of money that shows just how badly they wanted him. For Bayern, it was a crushing blow. They had put all their eggs in one basket, and now that basket was heading to Anfield. So what do you do when your main target picks your rival? You find a new target, and fast. Enter Bruno Fernandes, the alternative that makes perfect sense. This is where Bruno Fernandes comes into the picture. And honestly, it's not a bad backup plan at all. Think about what Bayern need. They want a creative midfielder who can score goals, create chances, and be a leader on the pitch. Bruno fits that description perfectly. The Portuguese star has been United's best player for years now. This season alone, he scored 19 goals and got 19 assists across all competitions. Those are incredible numbers for any midfielder, let alone one playing for a team that's been struggling. Bruno doesn't just put up good stats, he makes everyone around him better. He's the guy who takes penalties when the pressure is on, who creates chances out of nothing, and who never stops trying even when things look bad. For Bayern, he would solve their creativity problem instantly. They have a strong team, but they sometimes struggle to break down stubborn defenses. Bruno's passing range and ability to find space could be the missing piece of their puzzle. But here's the million-dollar question: can they actually get him? Manchester United's impossible choice. If you're a Manchester United fan, the thought of losing Bruno Fernandes probably makes you feel sick. And you're right to feel that way. Bruno isn't just their best player, he's their most important player. When he plays well, United usually win. When he has a quiet game, they often struggle. It's that simple. The club knows this. Manager Ruben Amorim and everyone at United are desperate to keep Bruno. They understand that losing him would be like losing the heart of their team. But here's where it gets complicated. United have some serious problems right now, and they all come down to money. First, they missed out on Champions League qualification this season. That's not just embarrassing, it's expensive. Missing the Champions League means less prize money, less TV money, and less appeal to potential new signings. Second, they need to rebuild their squad. United have been inconsistent for years, and everyone knows they need new players to compete with the top teams. But new players cost money, and right now, United don't have enough. This creates what you might call a catch-22 situation. They need to keep their best players to be successful, but they might need to sell their best players to afford the improvements they need. It's the kind of situation that keeps football executives awake at night. The numbers game, what would it take? So let's talk money. How much would it cost Bayern to actually get Bruno Fernandes? According to sources, Manchester United won't even consider selling Bruno for less than £100 million. That's a huge amount of money, even in today's crazy transfer market. To put that in perspective, £100 million would make Bruno one of the most expensive transfers ever. It's the kind of money usually reserved for the very best players in the world, which tells you how much United value him. But here's the interesting part: Bayern were apparently ready to spend €150 million on Wirtz. That's even more than what United want for Bruno. So the money isn't necessarily the problem for Bayern. The question is whether they think Bruno is worth that kind of investment. Wirtz is 22 years old with potentially 10 to 15 years of top-level football ahead of him. Bruno is 30, which means he probably has 3 to 4 years left at his peak. From a business perspective, spending £100 million on a 30-year-old is risky. From a football perspective, Bruno could help Bayern win trophies right now. It's the classic dilemma: Do you invest in the future or go for immediate success? The Saudi Arabian wild card. Just to make things even more interesting, there's another player in this game, Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal. The Saudi Pro League has been throwing crazy money at top European players lately. They've already signed stars like Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, and Karim Benzema by offering wages that European clubs simply can't match. Al Hilal reportedly made an £80 million bid for Bruno. But here's the thing, United turned it down without even thinking twice. The message was clear, £80 million isn't enough. This creates an interesting situation for Bruno. If he leaves United, does he want to go to a top European club like Bayern where he can compete for the biggest trophies? Or does he want to go to Saudi Arabia where he could earn incredible money but play in a less competitive league? For most players at Bruno's level, the choice would be easy. European football offers the Champions League, the chance to play against the world's best players every week, and the prestige that comes with it. But the Saudi offer does show that Bruno has options. And sometimes, having options can be powerful in negotiations. What this means for Bayern Munich. Let's think about this from Bayern's perspective for a moment. They've just missed out on their main target, and now they need to make a decision quickly. Bayern are used to getting the players they want. They are one of the biggest clubs in the world, they win trophies regularly, and they can offer top wages. Usually, that's enough to convince any player to join them. But this situation is different. They're not just competing with other clubs for Bruno's signature, they're trying to convince Manchester United to sell their best player in the first place. Bayern's manager Vincent Kompany has already put Bruno on his shortlist. That shows they're serious about making this happen. But being serious and actually succeeding are two different things. The smart move for Bayern would be to make their interest known quickly. The longer they wait, the more time United have to find alternative solutions to their financial problems. But they also can't appear desperate. If United think Bayern are desperate for a creative midfielder, they might push the price even higher than £100 million. It's a delicate balancing act, and it will be interesting to see how Bayern handle it. Bruno's perspective, stay or go? What about Bruno himself? What's he thinking about all this speculation? According to reports, Bruno is happy at Manchester United. He's the captain, he's the star player, and he has a good relationship with the fans. Those things matter to professional footballers. But Bruno is also 30 years old, which means he doesn't have many years left at the top level. If he's going to win the Champions League or other major trophies, it needs to happen soon. Manchester United haven't won the Premier League since 2013. They haven't won the Champions League since 2008. For a player of Bruno's quality, those are frustrating statistics. Bayern Munich, on the other hand, win trophies regularly. They've won the German league 11 times in the last 12 years. They're always in the Champions League, and they are always competitive. If Bruno's main goal is to win trophies, Bayern would give him a much better chance than staying at United. But there's also something to be said for loyalty and being the main man at a huge club like United. Some players prefer to be the big fish in a smaller pond rather than just another star in a team full of superstars. The decision ultimately comes down to what Bruno values most, comfort and loyalty, or the best chance of winning major trophies. The ripple effects across football. This potential transfer doesn't just affect Bayern and United, it could have consequences across European football. If Bruno leaves United, they'll need to replace him. That means they'll be in the market for a creative midfielder, which could affect the plans of other clubs who are looking for similar players. If Bayern get Bruno, it might mean they're less likely to compete for other midfielders that clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Manchester City might want. And if the transfer happens for £100 million or more, it sets a new benchmark for what top midfielders are worth in today's market. Transfer markets are like dominoes. When one big move happens, it often triggers several others. What happens next? So where do we go from here? What should we expect in the coming weeks? First, Bayern need to decide if they're willing to pay United's asking price. If they are, they'll likely make contact with United's representatives to start negotiations. Second, United need to figure out their financial situation. Can they find other ways to raise money for their squad rebuild, or do they really need to sell Bruno? Third, Bruno himself might need to make his feelings known. If he really wants to stay at United, that could kill any potential move. But if he's open to leaving, it might encourage Bayern to make a serious offer. The next few weeks will be crucial. Transfer windows move fast, and clubs can't afford to wait too long to make their moves. The bottom line. Here's what we know for sure. Bayern Munich want a creative midfielder, Bruno Fernandes is available for the right price, and Manchester United need money for their rebuild. Whether these three facts add up to an actual transfer remains to be seen. But all the pieces are in place for what could be one of the biggest moves of the summer. For football fans, it's the kind of story that makes the transfer window so exciting. You have top clubs making big decisions, star players facing difficult choices, and millions of pounds on the line. Whatever happens, this saga is far from over. And that's exactly why we love football. You never know what's going to happen next. Will Bruno Fernandes end up in a Bayern Munich shirt next season? Will Manchester United find a way to keep their captain? Or will Saudi Arabia's money prove too tempting to ignore? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride finding out.